Well, we are smack dab in one of the most contentious league MVP battles in recent memory. And while it is and has been pretty plainly obvious for at least the last couple of weeks that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was well on the way to winning this, the 2025 NBA League MVP award, I think it is plainly obvious that the real league MVP is Nikola Jokic. And as they set to do battle in Game 2 of the Western Conference semifinal series tonight, on the heels of the Nuggets' shocking Game 1 victory, I joined Jonny Arnett and his podcast crew to debate who is the most deserving and the rightful league MVP this year. Now, this excerpt is one of the 3 other segments that we discussed on his show, so do make sure to check that entire conversation out on his new page, Jonny Talks, the link to which can be found in the description field below for this video. And of course, if you are not subscribed here, please do so at this time to help me on my never-ending Will Chamberlain quest to 100,000 subscribers. But without any further ado,
I think each person has their own kind of case, if you want to say that. I feel like there's 2 in particular where people are probably going to lean. But for me, I have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as my MVP. because I outside of the tragedy that is the Karl Malone 97 MVP race, I can't think of off the top of my head a time where a team has won that many games. A guy has scored over 30 points for a team, just this alone, and not won the MVP. Pretty much flat out. Like I said, outside of Karl Malone and the travesty, and that's a different story for a different day. But 68 wins for the Thunder, most of the NBA, and by far and away the most in the West, which everybody likes to talk about how the West is super competitive all the time, way more difficult than the East. Heard that for over a decade now. OKC dominated the Western Conference in terms of wins. Yeah. And 72 straight games with 20 straight points. I think it's just him, Wilt, and Oscar Robertson. And that streak, even though he lost it the first game of the playoffs, for the regular season, it's still active, and that's what we're talking about. So, 72 straight games with 20-plus points. And I was just looking at, other historic seasons from people in Shai's position. And I picked 3 guys, all in their 7th year, right? Shai's in his 7th year, Kobe's in his 7th year, Jordan's in his 7th year that I'm showing here. And the stats are not just comparable, but in a lot of situations, they're somewhat more impressive and more efficient. I don't know. I find it extremely hard to not give this guy the award, but let me have it because I'm sure there's differing opinions on this one.
Dario, you're up next. I want Jay to really
I don't know if this is
sit
really,
on it.
I don't know if this.
I don't know if you want that, Jonny.
Yeah, no. You know, I want it to sizzle for you. I want it to build up because I know you're going Jokic. Go ahead, Dario.
Yeah, I was gonna say I completely agree with Russell. It's really a two-man race, right? It's Joker and Shai, and there's no way that Shai having 18 more wins than Joker, just that in general, puts them at a different tier in MVP. Because I feel like
were you making this argument for Steve Nash over Kobe in 2006? Were you doing that, Dario?
No. So this is my thing.
I
personally disagree. If it was up to me, it would be best player wins MVP. But it's not that. And it's never really been that, besides the one time that they did it for Joker a couple years ago when he was a 6 seed and whatever. They only changed the rules for Joker. So that's why this was
Westbrook was what was he, a 6 or 7 seed?
Yeah, but that was 60 years without a triple-double. I think that was just
another one.
Whatever. That to me, at that point, when you have a guy who did it 4 straight years like that, it becomes a little less impressive,
Sure.
Especially when the pace is significantly faster. the pace hasn't been that fast probably since the last triple-double, the first triple-double. But I'm not trying to bring down Joker. I just think that the rules kind of get changed up for him for whatever reason. And Shai led his team was 4th in offense, 3rd in defense. And he's a two-way player. That's one thing. Like, Joker is not really giving you the best effort on defense. He's probably the best offensive player in the league, or arguably. But Shai's definitely giving you both ends of the floor. And Joker's coach literally got fired in the middle of the year. Like, to me, I know it's not his fault.
But that's like a fluke, and there's no reason that we know of that makes sense. I mean, that's more like personal stuff. He called out his team for being soft, and then he basically got fired right after it. And so
I promise you, if they were a 60-win first place team, he wouldn't have gotten fired. So I think, and I think that kind of matters in this situation. OKC is probably going to have a coach that at least may be in Coach of the Year conversations. I think that matters.
Jay, get him, Jay. I see him squirming in his seat. He's like, I can only take so much.
Sorry,
for so long.
I'm so sorry, Jay. I just have to.
Yeah, I didn't go after Jokic like that. I
just think like people are holding Joker to a different standard than they did with every other superstar ever.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, why?
Yeah. So when you're talking about the best players in the world, and then we're talking about MVP, those have always been two separate things. Like, LeBron James was the best player in the world for probably the last all of the 2010s, but he didn't win every single MVP. Prior to that, Kobe was the best player in the world for all of the 2000s, and he only won one MVP. So I think that they're changing up the rules a little bit just to even keep this in its conversation. Because in reality, I think Shai should be probably 90-95% of the votes because of how good his team has been, how great he's been individually, and just that's just me.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
You just let me out of the box whenever. Is it time?
The only thing I'm nervous about is you're about to steal all my thunder because I know where I'm going with this, but go ahead. You go for it.
Well, Dario, guilty. There has been a double standard for Nikola Jokic. He has been being treated differently because he should be, and because we should continue to treat him differently because his team is garbage. Why did his coach get fired? Why did his general manager get fired in this same season? Because the team is trash. The ownership is trash. The franchise is trash. This team was 4-8 in the 12 games that Nikola Jokic did not play this year. 4-8. He dragged them to 50 wins despite missing the 12 games this season. You're talking historical because there are some historical precedents with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 68 wins. I believe he's one of 8 teams ever to win 68. Yeah. He led the league in scoring. He is a two-way player. It's virtually unprecedented that this guy wouldn't be nearing a unanimous league MVP. Of course, we only saw one of those, and that was Steph Curry in 2015, 2016. But we've never seen things that Joker has done this year either. We've seen a guy not just average a triple-double, the most efficient triple-double ever, and at a very, very minuscule usage percentage, by the way, may I add. You touched on Russell Westbrook. Let me just bring it up real fast. The first year that Russell Westbrook did his triple-double and won the MVP, despite being, I think he was the 7th seed that year, he not only led the NBA in usage rate, he set the all-time NBA record in single-season usage, did Russell Westbrook in the first season that he did the triple-double. Nikola Jokic this year is 19th league-wide in usage. 19th. Shai is actually in the top 3 along with Giannis and Antetokounmpo. So this was the most ridiculously efficient triple-double ever, but it goes beyond that. He was top 3 in 4 standard statistical box metrics. That would be points, rebounds, steals, and assists. Do you want to know how many people ever in NBA history have been top 10 in all 4 of those? That would be 0. No one has ever even been top 10 in all 4. He's top 3 in all of them. It is absolutely absurd. Not only is he destroying Shai in virtually every standard box metric, he is outpacing Shai in every advanced analytic metric as well. Shai got him in win shares because they won so many more games and because Shai played so many more games. But if you look at win share per 48, I believe Shai led the league. It was like 3.07 or 3.09, and Giannis was 3.07 or 3.09, second by a razor-thin margin to Shai, despite Shai winning like 18 more games. And this is where I'm really going to bring it home on you. I'm really going to slam dunk it on you here. Okay, let's just say they've both had unusual and historically unprecedented individual dominant seasons. Let's just concede that that is true for both of these players.
100%.
Therefore, who provided the most value? Your mistake in measuring value is by simply looking at wins and losses. But you have to look at the supporting cast, the pieces that they had to utilize in order to win those games. And how can we do that? Well, by looking at every single second both players have played and every single second that both players have sacked. When you look at the total net rating for Nikola Jokic per 100 possessions when he's on the floor, the Denver Nuggets are like around a plus 11. So plus 11 on their opponents per 100 possessions with him on the court. When Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is on the court per 100 possessions, they're about a plus 16 are the Oklahoma City Thunder. So you got me. They're better. They're better. You know, they're historically great, actually, plus 16. But when they are not on the court, when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has not played, per 100 possessions averaged out, the Oklahoma City Thunder's net rating is plus 5.14. Just to give you some context on that, it would be the third best net rated team in the NBA this season. They would be below only, in order, Boston and Cleveland, and they would be just above Minnesota and the LA Clippers. That's without Shai at all per 100 possessions. How about the Denver Nuggets without Nikola Jokic per 100? When he sits per 100 possessions this season, minus 8.01. That would be the fifth worst league-wide, right around Washington, Utah, Charlotte, and New Orleans. Those teams did not win. I think one of them won 20 games. I think one of the teams won 21. The rest were in the teens. So what we're talking about essentially is a team that would win around 20 on the season without Jokic, and he lifted them to a 60-win pace when he was on the floor. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, well, okay, yeah, they were a 50-plus win team without him. He lifted them to around a 70-win pace when he's on the floor. To me, the floor rising that Nikola Jokic did, the insane level of value that he has added to that team, coupled with his extreme and unprecedented historical dominance, to me, this shouldn't be close either. So I'm with you. It should be Nikola Jokic who's getting 95% of these votes. The fact that he's probably going to only get 20%, it is a travesty. It's a crime. It is Kobe Bryant 2005, 2006 all over.
Well, let me get in on this. I think there's three.
I agree with that.
I knew you guys were going to bond over the Kobe thing. There's three ways to look at the MVP. Three different ways people argue about it is who is genuinely the most valuable player, which is kind of the angle that Jay's going after. Who's the best individual player, and then who had the combination of those things plus winning. And I got to admit, like, Russell's got a fantastic point that it is a very, very rare thing for a guy to win 68 games and not take home the MVP, especially when he's averaging 30-plus points per game. And so I recognize that. The problem is I think that the way the MVP is determined skews too much towards that. I value winning. I don't want Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 1976 taking home MVP when he's, not even making the playoffs. But just making the playoffs, I feel like taking into context who's on the supporting cast, you have to do that. And for me, if I'm just looking at Jokic's season versus SGA's season, as impressive as SGA is, I'm more impressed with Jokic. I think Jokic's triple-double season is significantly more impressive than what Russell Westbrook did, because we're taking for granted at this point that a center is one of the best passers in the league and is averaging 10.2 assists per game. He's putting up 12.7 rebounds and 29.6 points per game as well. On top of that, he's shooting 57% from the field, and while shooting almost 5 3-pointers a game, he's hitting 41.7% of his three-point shots, just throwing that in. He's one of the most efficient three-point shooters in the entire league as well. Like, this dude's a video game. Again, I get it, 68 games and all that, but if you're just asking me which one is more valuable and which one is more impressive, I don't think it's much of a debate there.
Yeah, I'm definitely impressed by Jokic, but it's just this is what makes me mad about the last decade of MVP voting. Because without this last decade, there's no argument. This is an inarguable discussion, I feel like.
Right, because the formula was...
This is a very simple thing throughout all of NBA history. It's the best player on the best team. And especially it's the best player on the best team if there's a massive gap in wins.
But if the formula's wrong, and I don't know whether or not you think the formula's wrong, should you stick to that, or should we mix it, or should you change it?
I don't think it's wrong. I think it's a good snapshot of a season. Because that's what we're looking at. I don't think MVP awards should be given for a body of work. I don't think MVP awards should only be given for that particular season. And you know what? Sometimes there are 2 great seasons. That's life.
Here's the thing, though. Look, you said that winning the best player on the best team with the most wins generally wins it.
Relatively.
That's not necessarily always true. The writers also love these advanced analytics. They love
especially lately.
The 4 king metrics.
They didn't when Allen Iverson won in 2001. But
thank you very much.
But they did once LeBron James made his ascent and started winning when he won 4 out of 5 years. They started loving these advanced box metrics, which is
right around the time analytics took off. So
correct,
yeah.
Exactly right. So BPM, VORP, PER, and win share, like those are the 4 major ones. Nikola Jokic has substantially led the league for the last 4 straight years until this season in all 4 of them. And I'm saying historically led the league. Like someone mentioned that he was the 6th seed when he won the 1 year. He set the all-time BPM record in NBA history that year. Like he said, there's no way that the writers were not going to give him that. Like, and I see Dario, you're shaking your head here, but hold on, hear me out. BPM it's an acronym that not many people understand what it means, how it's found, I myself don't really even understand it. What I can tell you is this: box plus minus it's a study of the standard box, and it's how your impact is applied versus the standard baseline level replacement player, how many points you add to your team above that average level replacement player. So I'm just going to put this in layman's terms. If you are in the double digits, a 10 BPM is an MVP season. Okay. There's been, I believe there's only 5 guys who have multiple 10 BPM seasons in NBA history. Jordan and LeBron both have around 5 double-digit BPM seasons. Michael Jordan's career BPM is 9.21. He was the all-time leader in BPM in NBA history until Nikola Jokic came along. He is now a full point above Michael Jordan in career BPM. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, speaking of BPM for this season, was fantastic. He's about a mid-11 right now. I think he's like 11.3, 11.4 in BPM. The 15th best BPM in NBA history. It is higher. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander this year, speaking to how good he is. It is higher than all but 3 Michael Jordan seasons, all but 3 LeBron James seasons. And Nikola Jokic is nearly 2 full points higher than him right now this year. He's in the mid-13s. It's the 2nd highest BPM season ever, behind only Nikola Jokic's own record season from 2021 when he won the MVP as the 6th seed. This guy is doing things that are completely unprecedented. That is why he is winning these MVPs, despite the fact that his team win-loss record isn't very good. But the reason the team win-loss record, and I know I'm going long, I'm going to throw it back to you, but the reason it is because the supporting cast. The Thunder are a young, unknown group of players, but they are elite players. I haven't checked this number out in the last maybe 7 to 8 games, the regular season. But prior to the last 7 games of the regular season, the Thunder had 7 players in the top 70 in BPM. 7. The Denver Nuggets had 1, Nikola Jokic at number 1. That's why there's an 18-game discrepancy.
I will say, like, Skap, I know you know as well as anyone that using and drooling over offensive numbers in the statistically inflated 2025 doesn't always tell the whole story. Because when you're trying to say he's ahead of MJ, he's ahead of, this is the highest scoring era in NBA history since the days Wilt Chamberlain played, okay, which was a long time ago. So, I mean, take that with a grain of salt as well. But go ahead, Dario.
So I completely understand the argument with the advanced stats, but it's also like,
but it's standard stats too.
Yeah, sure, I guess. Because my thing is,
you're gonna have to get that dog on camera if it keeps barking, Dario. That is the only way you could frickin' save it at this point.
I was literally trying to yell at. I'm trying to yell at him and tell him to stop. Like in my mouth, I'm muted. I'm like,
make your point and then come get the dog, and we'll put the dog at the end of the video or something. Continue your point.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
You're good.
All right. So my only thing is, last year there was a very similar situation, right? Luka Doncic, 4 seed. He averaged like 33, 9, and 9, something like that. It was. Okay, sure.
He was a 5 last year.
This is what Skap does. He loves the numbers. He's got it.
Okay, and Joker was tied with the 1 seed, right? Which is why he won MVP. He was the 2 seed. That was a 7-game discrepancy. Would you not say that Luka Doncic had better stats than Joker last year?
It's
and arguably was the best player in the league.
It's not the same because Nikola Jokic led the NBA last year in BPM, VORP, PER, and win share.
It's basic stats versus
he led in all 4.
Stats.
He led in all 4. Luka Doncic led in none of them. He wasn't even second in many of them. So it's not the same.
But when you're watching the game, okay, I could understand these advanced stats where like on paper this looks amazing, but when you're watching the game, these 2 players are in the same tier. There's no way you look at Luka Doncic and Joker and think that those guys weren't in the same tier, especially last year. I think Luka literally averaged the most points in the league while averaging 9 assists, 9 rebounds,
and took his team to the finals.
Yeah. So
with Kyrie Irving.
With Kyrie Irving, who he likes a lot more than Jamal Murray.
What? But then there's no way that we're not saying that Nuggets extended bench wasn't better than the Mavs. I know it seemed like that they played great defense and everything, but the biggest issue when they went to the NBA Finals was against Boston, they couldn't score. Like it was Luka and Kyrie, and that's it. Like that Nuggets did not have that issue a couple years ago when they ended up winning the NBA Finals. But my pretty much it's a very similar situation where all right, Luka's was the 4 or 5 seed, Joker is the 4 seed, right? And were they tied in record with the Clippers? It could have been either.
Yeah, 50 and 32, 4 seed Nuggets, 5 seed Clippers, both are 50 and 32.
And Luka had the same exact record last year.
And the 8 seed is literally 2 games off.
Yeah,
so
Luka came in 3rd place last year, right? I'm pretty sure Luka came in 3rd place last year. Because of Joker, right? Shai, because of Shai.
Shai finished second.
So that was a 7-game discrepancy. Now we have a very similar circumstance this year, except there's an 18-game discrepancy, and you have a guy averaging almost 33 points. He has 6 assists, 5 rebounds, and he's
two-way player,
leading the best team in the NBA right now. To me, that's what makes it not close.
The net rating swing again. Plus 11 with Jokic on the floor per 100 possessions, minus 8 without him per 100 possessions. Shai is plus 16. The Thunder are plus 16 with Shai, plus 5 without. That's an 11, basically like an 11 net rating swing. That Jokic is providing 8 more points per 100 possessions that he's on the floor. You guys could say two-way player. All I'm talking about is value added. Who is providing more value? Who is adding more value? It's just numbers. Nikola Jokic is providing 8 more points per 100 possessions on a net rating swing than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And again, it's because his team stinks. Look, and you brought up the playoffs. I know this is a regular season award. I'm aware of it. But you brought up the playoffs. So let's just look at the first 2 games of the playoffs. Like everyone talks about inflation, about pace and rate being up. The Clippers were a top 5 net rated defense all year. I think they ended I think they were the 3rd rated net defense. Right now in that Clippers Nuggets series, those 2 teams are averaging about 100 points per game each. So the pace is way down. The scoring is way down now in these first 2 games for the Nuggets and the Clippers. And yet Nikola Jokic is still averaging a triple-double. He's averaging 28 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds, 3 steals on 50% shooting. Still playing the Clippers, a defensive team with the Defensive Player of the Year award winner likely on it. I think Zubac is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. Nikola Jokic's positional counterpart, and he's got doubles over the top in support of him, and Jokic is still averaging a 28-point triple-double on 50% shooting. What is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doing in the playoffs? Oh, yes, he's averaging 21 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists on 33% shooting from the field. And his team just put down the 2nd highest differential swing in 2 games ever. The 2nd best ever, 70 points. They won game 1 by 51 and game 2 by 19, despite 42 points on 42 shot attempts by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I know this is a regular season, not a playoff award. But if you want to bring up playoffs, there is no doubt what we've seen in this first week, these first 2 games, has bared out that Nikola Jokic is a hell of a lot more valuable than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The Thunder have a bunch of no-name guys right now, but look at the metrics. Look at the advanced stats. These guys are all top. There's bench players on the Thunder that are better than mostly every starter on Nikola Jokic's team from an advanced rated standpoint. That's why this extreme discrepancy exists in wins.
I will say this. You know it's a good race when Giannis Antetokounmpo doesn't, I had to bring him up. I'm sorry, but before we end this segment, I have to bring him up. This guy had them on an 8-game winning streak after Damian Lillard, regular season, got shut down. Carried the team. They started the year 2-7. They looked like they were going the Philly road. Mm-hmm. And Giannis put them on their back, averaging 30.4 points, 10.6. Let's see here. No, 11 points. Sorry. 30.4 points, 11.9 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 1.2 blocks, shooting 60%. Yeah. I'm just saying, we need to be giving Giannis more love because he deserves to be in this conversation too. It's a great race.
I agree, Johnny, definitely. And I just want to say this real quick. I'll squeeze this in too. I am like Mr. Anti-Super Team. I am one of the leading advocates against team ups and super team ups. Damn it. I want Giannis and Jokic to team up now. I'm so tired of seeing these two marginalized, disrespected.
Thank you.
Let's just blow it up. You know what? And let's take it to Miami. Neither of the 2 franchises that currently have them deserve it. Let's have those 2 take their talents to South Beach, and they'll deliver the 8 that LeBron couldn't deliver on.
Oh, my God. I'm for it.